so great after I've exercised. And this morning was no different. I'm actually back in the gym at the moment because Lydia and I have started a new project at the house. It's one of the final stages of the exterior renovation, should we say, and it's very noisy. So I've come back down into the gym, a little bit echoey in here probably, but hopefully you can hear me okay. And I wanted to talk to you about a tool that I believe to be very fitting for this time of year. So as we come into a new year and there is an emphasis on exercise and well-being and self-care, the summer holidays are getting booked, and probably quite fair to say that many of us, and I'm not speaking for all of us, but many of us may have taken our foot off the gas a little bit during the holidays, spending time with family and friends, our social calendars get booked up. Exercise and self-care sometimes takes a bit of a back seat. With this increased level of exercise, our bodies are of course pushed into this state of change, and more often than not, things ache a little bit more, we become a bit sorer as we're getting our bodies and muscles back into the routine of training and working out. And so something that I like to use all year round, as I mentioned, but in particular is a fantastic tool for this time of year, is the massage gun. And I'm really excited to have teamed up with Xiaomi in today's video with their Massage Gun Mini. It's a brilliant little tool to massage those soft tissue areas. I found that consistent use of massage guns teamed with stretching is a fantastic way to reduce lactic acid buildup, but to also help stay flexible and mobile, particularly after I've trained, and again as I'm coming into new training sessions. I found that the recovery has always been more beneficial after I've taken 10 minutes just to work on the gun and to also do some stretching. Highly recommend if you're skipping that with your workout routine at the moment. The Xiaomi Massage Gun Mini comes with 3 different head attachments. It has a flat head, a ball head, and also a fork. These all provide different contact points and give you the flexibility to manage the intensity and the precision of the massage. Along with those 3 heads, there's also 3 intensity settings, which again just provide further control over the amount of pressure and intensity of the massage itself. It has an inbuilt charger with a USB-C port and is conveniently travel sized. It's very lightweight, compact and portable, and it comes with a great travel case to keep it safe whilst we're on the move, and will become a great companion. Whilst we're on the subject, Xiaomi also offer a great range of tech products that can accommodate and help you with your lifestyle needs. Like these digital scales, which also pair up with an app providing you with further data and information. Now, as always, I'll link the products in my description box down below, but do check out their website because they've got some fantastic products online, and I do hope that you find as much enjoyment out of the Massage Gun Mini as I do. Well, unexpectedly, I received a text message this morning from my barber letting me know that he had actually come back early from his holiday, so he was available for cuts. So I jumped on the opportunity and I spent the late morning having my hair cut, and I've also had a shave and I freshened myself up ready for the weekend. So that's worked out very nicely. I then had a delivery arrive, which was essentially a camera rig. So it's like a cage, a handle, a monitor, a hood, and everything else that goes with it, all the leads and whatnot. And also a really cool filter that I've screwed onto the front of my lens. I'll quickly talk you through why and what I've picked up for my new camera rig, which hopefully is going to help improve or at least make my life a lot easier when creating content throughout 2024, particularly on the other platforms. Whilst we have a little bit of daylight left, I wanted to quickly come out and install the new socket and switches that have finally arrived for the shed. If you didn't see in a recent video, I did a rustic shed renovation video, which will be 2 or 3 videos ago, so if you want to go and check that out, it will be on my channel. But these have arrived and we're going to be replacing the traditional white plastic sockets with these nice rustic metal sockets, and they'll just be a little bit more subtle in the room. Another job that I was looking to do in here was to replace these brackets that are currently holding up the shelves, and we spoke about replacing them with black or rustic style brackets. But somebody just made a fantastic suggestion. They said if you were to take these off and submerge them in tea for 12 hours or so, do 24 hours, doesn't really matter I don't think, then it will help colorize the metal, and they may end up looking something a little bit more like this saw here, which I believe would achieve the desired look that I'm going for. So rather than going out and just buying new brackets, I may be able to actually do a little DIY project on these and get them to soften up and kind of just integrate into the space a little bit more sympathetically than they do at the moment. So that will be something else that we'll have a go at doing. Perhaps I'll start that process in this video, and then we'll see how that goes and if it actually worked or not, because if it does, then I think that that's a nice little hack. But before we do that, let's get these electrics done and smarten up the sockets in here. Well, there you have it. The new light switches are on, looking fantastic. So the sockets, they've also got USB ports in them, which is obviously very convenient in this day and age. I've also taken a bracket ready for teabagging. And so I'm going to take that inside, and this is going to be our test dummy, and if this works, then we are going to be doing all of them. And I do think that if we can get them anything close to looking like that saw, even better, closer to the rusty sockets, then I think it's going to really help make all of this just sort of blend in beautifully. So let's get busy. I think for the purpose of this experiment, I'm just going to do it in a Tupperware box. If this goes to plan, then I'll use a big bucket and I'll just chuck them all in, because we're just doing one. Fits in there lovely, and I can just leave this on the side and monitor it. So I'm going to do 2 tea bags. Maybe I should Google this. I wonder if it's a thing already. Always do Googles. How would you describe this?
What?
This thing I'm doing.
Technique that you're doing for the brackets?
Teabagging metal.
You're not teabagging metal. You're rusting, you're accelerating the rusting process. Do you know who would love this? This is like a Dean and Borgia-esque thing from My Tiny Estate.
Oh, it's a vibe. What are they spraying on there? Oh.
Is it vinegar?
How to add rust masks. What? I can't talk. How to add rust marks to tea bags. Have I said that right?
No.
How to add rust marks to tea bags. That's what it says.
Is this the stuff that they said wasn't being delivered today? Oh my god, it's
I'm sure any tea would be suitable, but we're going to go with 2 tea bags of the finest Yorkshire tea. Okay.
Hello. No worries, thank you very much.
So we'll just let that sit, and I think this is the kind of thing that you need to leave for a relatively long period. So I think 24 hours, we'll check back and we'll take a look and see how this has progressed. So I'll just leave this on the side and I'll show you the progress. Oh yeah. Do you want a belly rub? Do you want a belly rub? Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, here comes Mr. Jealous. Yes. Oh, yes. So this right here is my brand new rig, and I'm very proud of it. It looks very, very cool. And I'm hoping that this is going to help improve the quality of the content that I'm producing throughout 2024. And so I'm just going to very quickly, without going into too much detail, run you through this setup. I'll only be a couple of minutes, I promise. I know that this isn't everybody's cup of tea. So, to start things off, the filter on the front. This filter is called a black mist filter, and it is designed to create a softer, creamier look and feel to your photos and video. I've actually just been out in the garden shooting and filming the chickens in the woodlands because there was a fantastic opportunity to get snowdrop with the snowdrops, and so I'll stitch that here actually so you can watch this whilst we're talking. Hopefully you'll be able to notice within this footage that the light in particular around the sun is slightly softer and not blown out as in overexposed, but it just pushes the light out and just creates a bit of a glow, I guess is the best way to describe it. And it's just a really nice soft effect. Digital cameras tend to produce a sharper visual, and so this just kind of draws it back a little bit and makes it a bit softer and a bit more cinematic. So there'll be a time and a place for this, but I've added this on for now just to play around with. The next thing is the monitor. So I guess the reason why all of this has happened is because I wanted to add a monitor, which is the screen here, to be able to preview and watch what it is that we were filming on a clearer screen, because at times it can be quite difficult to see the back of the camera screen. So this monitor has a nice touchscreen display on it, and I'm going to be able to watch back and watch during my filming and photography escapades. I decided to buy a cage for this with a sun hood, so during brighter days where it may be difficult to see even the back of this monitor, I've now got some cover, which means that there shouldn't be any reason why I shouldn't have full clarity on what it is that we're doing. I've then also got the side clamp for the HDMI lead to make sure that stays safe, because of course that's a weak point as we're moving around and I'm moving this around. The monitor's cage is actually attached to this adjustable mount. I wanted an adjustable mount so I could actually move the monitor around depending on where the position of the camera is and how I wanted this to be tilted. So I can now tilt this in all directions, which is so convenient when the whole purpose of this is of course to be able to see what you're doing. This does have a hot shoe on it, so I could just connect this directly to the top of my camera and that would be it. That is all I really needed to be able to use this monitor. But I got carried away. I was having fun, and so I decided to give me a bit more comfort but also a bit of stability to buy this top handle. And this top handle is normally quite useful when you're trying to do tracking shots without a gimbal, so I can hold it and naturally my wrist, I guess, kind of acts as a bit of an axis, so I'm able to hold this and move and create a slightly more stable shot, which hopefully will produce smoother, more enjoyable video content for you to watch. And then to house this top handle, I then needed to buy a camera cage, so 2 cages. And this cage, of course, comes with the flexibility to be able to add microphones, aerials, all sorts of stuff. But one of the really cool things that I wanted to add was a handle, and this particular handle has a record button on the thumb, which is really convenient when you're wearing gloves, because on the back of the camera, the record button is this tiny little red button just here, which at times when you're wearing big chunky gloves can be quite difficult to get to. And when you're out filming and it is quite cold, it is really nice sometimes to have gloves on, particularly if you're me and you have terrible circulation in your hands. This is now going to give me the flexibility to be able to keep my gloves on and get busy working, because everything else is pretty usable with gloves on. The only thing that may be a bit tricky is the ISO on this wheel. So this handle again has a hot shoe on top of it. It also has got this really cool magnetic insert where the Allen key goes in, so I can always adjust the rig using that Allen key, which I thought was genius. The actual cage has the similar thing. This little metal thing right here is used to actually take the cage off of the camera, and so again, if I want to remove all of this and just go to a standard camera, all I've got is one screw to undo. So even though it looks like quite a lot going on here, it's going to be quite easy to break this down and flip between both having all of this on and then nothing on at all. So I quite like that. And that pretty much comprises my setup. So there are lots of things that we could add to this and have fun with. I could get another handle so I could hold the camera like so, which could be quite convenient when filming. But for now, I'm just going to have the setup like this and like so. That is my camera setup, and I managed to find a lens cap which is adjustable, which fits very nicely onto the front of this filter, because when you buy filters typically they don't come with lens caps, and also adapters to be able to convert a thread from one size to the other depending on what lens you have. But we won't get into that. That's a breakdown of the camera rig for 2024. It's quite a hefty bit of kit, and so we'll see how we go with it. But I'm looking forward to giving it a go and hopefully producing some really cool stuff. Smile!
Now give me the beat.
Well, 48 hours has passed and the tea-bagged bracket has been a success. I'll quickly bring it a little bit closer. So hopefully you can see that that has given it a bit of a rust effect, which I presume it actually has rusted it as well because it's sat in water and that has reacted in it being rusted. So we've created the desired look, which means thankfully these brackets that I've collected this morning can now all be tea bagged, and those temporary brackets are no longer temporary, they've become the permanent ones. And so that is a lovely little hack. It's worked very, very well. Liz and I are going to be heading out today because I have a very special keepsake that I'm going to be having framed. Liz suggested having them put up in my office, and I thought it was such a wonderful idea that we're going to be taking these papers, which I'll show you in a second, to be framed at a local framing centre. And then that will become the art that's essentially in my office space. Whether you can call it art, I do not know. I'll talk you through the papers anyway as to what I understand and what I know about them, because they were discovered after my granddad passed. So I was very fortunate to be given them by my family to have framed, and so it's going to be something that we get started on today. Before I do that, I'm going to get this bucket full of the tea bags and start this process, because I'm going to have to leave these for anywhere between 24 and 48 hours. It was surprisingly fast how quickly this bracket started to turn, and obviously the less amount of time that you put them in water with the tea bags, the less effect they will have on the metal itself. So if you're just looking for a kind of like a touch of patina or rust that comes onto a piece of metal, you could probably get away with leaving them in there for like an hour or something, and you would achieve a stylistic feel to the metal. I wanted mine to be a lot darker and a lot more rustic, so I've left mine in for 48 hours and it's worked an absolute treat. So yeah, gonna get this filled up. I'm gonna use 1 tea bag per bracket, so 2, 4, 6, 8 tea bags. I've already got 2 from this one that will go in there. I'll just keep the same ones in there. So I'll stick another 6 tea bags in, fill this bucket up with hot water, and we'll revisit these just before we stick them up. And fingers crossed they will work just as well as this one did, because this is fantastic. This is such a result for me, so very happy with that. So these were the newspapers that were discovered in my granddad's cupboard, and they're historic D-Day tribute papers, which I've worked out to be from 2004, but they're the actual prints that were listed in June from, I believe they did it all week, so it was 60 years on from D-Day, and they ran a week's worth of papers that were originally printed during World War II. And so we don't have the whole week, but that was Thursday, June the 8th, 1944, and then we've got the 9th, the 10th, and the 12th. And so all of these papers were obviously quite significant times during that war. There were a lot of victories that were taken during this period, and so that's what the 4 papers here are about. And then in similar vein, this is a reprint of the birthday of Princess Elizabeth. She was born at 2:40 AM on the 21st of April 1926 in Mayfair, London. And so again, I'm not sure exactly when this actual paper would have been printed. There might be somewhere amongst this a date, but it isn't an original as such, but this is what the actual paper looked like in 1926, but this wasn't actually printed in 1926. It was probably printed a long time after. However, we do have some really old papers here. So this is News of the World, the London edition, and this is from June 25th, 1950, and I can only assume that perhaps this was kept either because it was passed down, not thrown away, or cricket. My granddad did enjoy watching cricket, and so there is a chance that he kept this paper because of that. But there wasn't anything in this paper that was historically printed. I did Google it, and there were some huge historical events worldwide that took place, but nothing that was documented in this paper. And again, we have a paper here from July the 27th in 1923. Again, I can't see why this was kept. It's quite fascinating to see the paper and how they were advertising during this period. I've not read these from top to toe, but there isn't anything again that off these dates stood out as like, that's why this was kept. So I just think they look really lovely, and like I said, it's more of a keepsake from my granddad, and so I think we get these in some really nice wooden frames. They will look lovely displayed in my office. So I need to decide whether we go with the super old papers and have these framed because they have so much character, and that just sort of sits as a bit more of a keepsake, or whether we frame these D-Day tribute papers from the Daily Mail, which of course have got a lot of historical interest, and they would actually be really interesting to read on the wall for anybody that does come into the office. I think Lydia's sort of warming towards these papers. You want some attention, my love? You want some attention? However, I'm not closing the door on these just yet.
Fire has been put on that, so you can see the rough edges. So that's how it looks like.
Yeah.
And then just to put a frame around it. This is only there for the V groove, you know, when we cut the V groove.
Right.
On that. That's good. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, now that's been discontinued, but I'll show you the other browns that we do.
Master Lydia creating frames. Those look lovely. So I think we've decided that we're going to go for 4 small frames, and then we're going to go for 1 large one.
Is it this colour?
Yes, but I think we might actually go for a different backing for this one because we like this slip frame here.
Can you mount the slit in
On the
around the
frame,
actual
yeah.
frame?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could have it like that and it just be perfect. That's
Yeah.
really lovely.
I like
really
that
like
a lot.
that. Do you want to just try a few different slips?
Yeah, that's nice. I really like the leather, and then the little slip just adds the
It worked
details
quite well
tiny.
for-
Do you have other slips or is that all of the slips down there?
Yeah.
That
Okay, we are 72 hours in, and as you can see, we no longer have the bucket. I think because of the quantity of water, I've reduced the intensity of the colouring from the tea bags, and so I poured all that water out, kept the tea bags, put them in here, added 6 extra tea bags, and then filled this up with hot water to try to increase the intensity of the colorization of the metal, because they had got nowhere near as colorized as that test piece that we had done earlier on. And so these have now had 72 hours as opposed to our test that I had about 48, and they've also been transported. I think the combination of the intensity, but also the fact that there is some oxygen getting into this as well, has probably helped with that process. So if we take one of these out, you'll see that it's nicely coloured up. It's got that nice brown kind of rustic look to it, which is fantastic, because of course that is the look we're going for. And so the larger pieces of metal were actually too big to fit into this dish. I didn't have a bigger dish to put them in, and I wanted to keep a low profile dish to ensure that we weren't over watering down that tea. So I could flip reverse the metal and submerge the bits of metal that are sticking out of the water that haven't colorized as much. However, these sections are the sections that will be at the bottom of the shelf, so you're not really going to see them that much. And the part of the long bits that will be seen against the wall are the bits that are submerged. So we could do another 24 hours and absolutely nail the whole piece of metal, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm quite impatient. So we're going to go into the shed and we're going to get this fixed up, and then I'll show it to you once the shelves are installed, and we'll see what the final product looks like. Well, there you have it. I've dressed the new shelves, the new brackets are up, and as you can see, a lot softer. I think we've done the trick. Very happy with that. Well, that's all we have time for this week. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Take care.